What is going on, everybody out there? Happy Monday. This is Brandon.
This is Bryce.
Welcome back to Weekly Wrap Up. This is our weekly comic book review show, one of our only live shows we have, our only big consistent live show on the channel. This is where we talk with you guys about the books that we have been reading. We review the books that we are going to be talking about, and we give you guys kind of our recommendations, our positions on these issues. If that interests you, make sure you guys hit the thumbs up. If you're catching this on the rewind, just know you can always catch the live show at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Everyone here is really appreciated. We're really excited to hear what you guys are reading. So make sure you guys comment that below as we're reviewing these books. Make sure you guys leave your thoughts in the comments. That way you can be highlighted on the show and you'll be a part of Comics Kings forever. This was a huge week. Bryce, how are you feeling today, my man?
Oh, dude, I'm feeling great. This week was an absolute banger. Oh my gosh. This was also my heaviest week of the month, but it was like the most quality too. So
yes,
it's just I'm at a loss for words over some of the books this week.
I feel like a lot of these books alone, if they came out on a different release week, like 5 of them would be my pick of the week. But
dude,
unfortunately,
even the ones that were towards like the bottom of my rankings,
right,
would be like top 3 books any other week.
Oh my gosh, yeah, and we got SAGA coming back. We got the end of Death of Doctor Strange. We got more Devil's Reign. We got Inferno Extended, so that's really exciting.
Inferno Extended? Wait.
Wolverine. The Deaths of Wolverine.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's a Marley Taggart story that we're going to break down. We got xmen number 7 that came out, which we got a little bit of a Cyclops story, which that's to each their own, but you know what I mean.
I loved it.
Let's say what's up to people in the chat. We got Nick in here. What's going on,
What's
Nick?
Going on, Station,
Nick. How you doing, my man? We got Shane Lorison. Thank you so much for joining us.
Shane, man.
Great to see you in the chat, my man.
One of my OG friends in the community. How you doing, man?
What's going on, John Stout? Nick read all the things. So he read all the things we're going to be talking about because Nick just owns a comic store.
That's dedication right there. I wish I had that.
John read a bunch of comics in the back of a cereal box. What is going on?
How was the cereal box? Was it good?
Was it Apple Jacks?
Was there a maze on the back?
Yeah, Shane. Bryce is here. We also have Stefan Missing Link, who's on Crisis on Infinite Rants and Archives, and Michael, who is on Archives as well. And speaking of those shows, if you guys are interested in them, Archives, where we talk about a comic book kind of conversation or topic, Stefan and I analyze it, go into depth. So we just did DC, why Jeff Johns is needed in the DC universe. Kind of talking about their continuity right now and how Jeff Johns feels like it's like their only solution to save it because it's kind of gone to hell and everything. But if you're that's a video for you as well. This week we're going to be building an MCU amusement park. So that's going to be dope.
Oh shoot!
It's going to be hilarious,
dude.
And then Archives is our deep dive into like a trade collected edition. And we got the man Eric. What up, Eric?
Up, Eric Station, dude. For real. Real talk. I've said for probably since 2018 when the movie came out that Disney is dropping the ball. Not making their own like sub park or something, and calling it Wakanda.
Oh, I think that might be
Disney is dropping the ball on that.
Yep. We got Melvin. Saga Thor was great. Yeah, we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about it because there's a lot of books. Thor came out. Hulk came out. No,
Hulk came out last week, I think, or the week before.
Yeah, we talked about it. B&B. I can't afford Saga, man.
It's $3.
It's the cheapest book on the shelf.
Dude, seriously. This was a 44-page issue.
Chet, you can afford a $3 book like you can afford a Rolex. For you, it's butter.
And people think Spawn's cheap.
Right. What up, Manny? What is going on, my brother?
What is going on? No, funny. I'll go in depth on it later, though. I actually have kind of a funny experience with this issue of Saga. I think I told you about it right after it happened, but long story short, I had a dream about buying this issue like middle of last year.
Yeah. We got my boy Raging Cajun in here. Yo, I was just on his show on Sunday, and I had the best time ever. Like, it was great. I love JD. JD, if you need a guest for your show, Bryce said he was always willing, and he just told me that in confidence just now. So make sure you get Bryce on your show. But
I mean,
I'm super excited. I was so excited.
If the school schedule can fit it, yeah, I am always willing. But
now we got to keep John's working on this amazing DCU slate. I mean, obviously they're just killing it in the film news. I mean, yeah, totally, because it's not like James Gunn drove their least selling title into their best project.
Yeah,
because
well, last year they did kind of kill
it. Ninja in here. What's going on, homie?
Oh yeah, everybody.
What's a Rolex? No, I'm saying relax. And buy Saga.
And last year DC was kind of killing it in the film division. They didn't have that many movies, but the ones they had hit. So I mean,
we got Twins Comics in here.
What's going on?
First appearance. Good to see you, my friend. Guys, we have a lot of people in the house. We got a great chat today. Everybody is popping, talking about books. Let's get into it. I'll start.
Oh, yeah.
I want to start talking about Black Panther, number 3. This is by John Ridley, artist by Juan Cabal, who's honestly one of my favorite artists in comic books. His art with Al Ewing's Guardians was fantastic. And I was really blown away with kind of how he has like that Russell Dodderman vibe going on. Was really cool about this issue is not the fact that I've been completely like question marking this series, right? I was like, first issue was fine, second issue was fine, this issue was great. This issue is like probably about like an 8.5 out of 10. There's still some stuff I don't care for, but the whole point is one of T'Challa's agents that is like getting killed is in Morocco, right? So he has to go and talk to his old wife Storm, who now I guess they're rekindling their relationship with, which we got a glimpse at in issue 1. And this is Black Panther on Morocco. Kind of we're getting that moment with him and Storm, and I think that's really when we see T'Challa let loose, because he doesn't really do that in front of his sister Shuri, who's kind of dealing with the situation on Earth. We don't really see him do that with any of his other like colleagues. I think Black Panther in this issue, we really got a lot of humanizing moments, him as a person, not really him as the king, but more just him as T'Challa, him being a leader, and we really get to see him show a lot of empathy for this whole situation at large, and a lot of his top secret agents are getting exposed and killed. There are a lot of great battle scenes. There are tensions of him coming on to Morocco, but nonetheless, it's such a great issue. I know a lot of people were specking on this, but this was such a good story, and I've been so hard on John Ridley. Chillmonger says, I thought Gentle and T'Challa were completely out of character until the end. I like that story. Yeah, it was great. It was like at first they're just fighting to fight. They're fighting to fight, and it's like we got a great little heartfelt moment. We got some backup stories that don't exactly mean anything, but these guys hug it out at the end after they're fighting the whole issue. And to me, it's like T'Challa is always such a great problem solver as a king. Also, when he was with the Avengers, he was a great problem solver. Even in the early 2000s, he was so I think that was really fitting to his character as well. John Ridley understands what he's working with. He wrote Storm really well, and I really loved it. I've been like question marking this series. Now I'm on board. I'm digging it. I'm excited. You got me. Good job, John Ridley. I'm super excited for this book.
See, I haven't read an issue since issue 1, but basically what I'm hearing now is to kind of keep this series in the corner of my eye for a good chance to really just jump back into it. Because, I mean, the first issue I thought was fine, too. I thought it was decent enough. But the whole Wakandan democracy thing just kind of threw me off, especially with this being my first Black Panther title. I'm used to it being a monarchy, and I really just wanted to dive more into that world. But if it's a well-written series, I mean, why not just keep an eye on it and see about just diving in and.
Oh, you're right. I mean, I really enjoyed it. I think this is the most character pinup we've gotten. Like, just from a singular issue, I think this is the most we've really gotten to know how John Ridley treats T'Challa and, like, kind of how he envisions that he would act in certain situations. And I really like the decisiveness of T'Challa to kind of make that quick decision. So I'm involved in it, and I think we are going to get more of the government stuff leading down. So I would definitely recommend you getting back on it. I know this book had some spec value, but we don't really do that here. We read them. We enjoy them. We got JT in here. What's going on?
What's going on, JT?
Asian brother, thank you for joining us tonight. Shane says he had no new comics on his polls. He didn't get to the shop. Dude, I'm sorry, man.
Hey, that's fair, man. For as much greatness as there is, there's just as much crap, and sometimes it's hard to distinguish.
Right.
Which is which. You've got your obvious standouts, but then you've got some sleeper picks, which I definitely have.
Right.
At least
And
one stack.
And I think the spec surrounding this issue is like, okay, we don't know where we're going with Black Panther in the MCU, so any new character is going to be a speculating issue. But here's the thing, right? Black Panther now is a character that has more of a voice, right? Like Shang-Chi and Black Panther, you can say Kamala Khan is going to have that voice, right? A lot of these characters have more of a voice now than ever. So for people to like kind of hoard these copies and take that away from the daily person who just goes to the shop, not knowing that was a spec issue, right? Or like a key issue, everything's a fucking key nowadays. But for them to not know that to me, like, I'm really against when stuff like that happens, simply because I think about the person who's not really in the YouTube space or on the Instagram community. They're just going to their shop, picking up their books. And I feel like, you could be taking that, a 10-year-old kid's experience away by picking this book up to flip it, right? And kind of depriving them of that. And I don't like that. Get one copy.
No, I have no problem with people spending their money how they want to. If they want to spec, cool. But don't go and buy, like, if you're going to spec, at least let people get their copies first. Like, don't be buying 25 copies on release day. If you want to buy a couple copies on release day, sure. If there are any when you go back, say a day after, 2 days after, or give it till the weekend, and you can still find those copies for cover price, grab them. But I mean, yeah, if you're taking a copy of a book away from somebody that can enjoy it, then I don't know. To me, it kind of diminishes the work that the creators put into it, especially since you're only going to read one copy if you read it at all.
Right.
But if you want to spec, or if Black Panther's your favorite character and you like having multiple copies of every new addition to his mythos,
spec 2 months prior before FOC agreed. But don't ruin that experience for people who are into this hobby for the reasons why you first came to it as well. Because a lot of times, like back then, there was no such thing as speculation, right? You weren't specking on which book was going to resell for this much money. Nobody knew that, right? Everyone was just a fan who wanted to get these stories, and I think like a lot of times we're losing that, and it kind of ruins the experience for some people who are trying to get into the game, and then they, that's just my 2 cents. Totally agree 100%. Embrace on spec people, just get one, let the regular people take a chance. Yeah, like if they're in it for what it's intended for, just give them that opportunity.
Especially on new comics, back issues are fair game. You want to spec on back issues all day, you do that. They've had their time in the sun, and a lot of times they're just chilling in a long box. So if you stumble upon those, then do what you will. But
yo, what up, Robbie? Station, pop, pop, boom.
I just got done watching a few episodes of Community while I ate dinner, so you hear that, like you say that, and all I can hear is magnitude from Community in my head, like pop.
What'd you read this week, Bryce?
Oh man, so speaking of a sleeper pick, I'm gonna go ahead and get it out of the way. I still think this is DC's most slept on title, The Flash 778. I probably have more fun with this title than I do any other title.
Yeah.
Like, it's just dumb fun. But a lot of times, like, to me, Wally West is just, he's a great character, but he's a dumb fun character too. He covers all the bases.
Right.
And this story has that with the Wally bit, but then you also...
Call me Papa Boom.
Pop what magnitude?
Robbie, I'm gonna when PCP movie night's on tonight, I'm gonna come in and say, "Yo, what up, Papa Boom?"
Oh my gosh, Eric, you cracked me up, man. I forgot about that quote. Oh my gosh. But yeah, we pick up where we left off in the last issue with Irie sneaking out with her friend. It's classic preteens getting into trouble. Except now they get kidnapped by 2 people who I just love to see. And that is Shimmer and Mammoth from the old school Fearsome 5 from the New Teen Titans run. Oh my gosh. When I saw that, I literally, like, the grin on my face, just like, Joker has never even smiled that big.
I've never seen you smile at a comic book like that, other than when you read Invincible. But then the next page, you're like, what the?
Yeah, Invincible, I went from like smiling to laughing to crying to just appalled at apparently like people's intestines getting ripped out. There's a reason that's my favorite series of all time, but if I start talking about Invincible, I'll go for hours. But Shimmer and Mammoth kidnap Wally's daughter Irie and her friend. They end up taking her to this mystery boss. We find out who that is later. Right after we cut to Wally fighting off the entire Justice League Dark that has been possessed by Eclipso on Gemworld. And just give the creative team some love here. Jeremy Adams is doing a phenomenal job with this.
He is, man.
Has been like the fixing Wally arc was
Yeah.
Like it had potential, but it was necessary.
Yeah, that's why I did after that. But Jeremy Adams is like, he's just a fan of Wally. I guarantee you, like, Mark Waid is probably his favorite writer. We got John Norris in here. What's going on,
What is going on?
Good to see you up in here again.
Big Herm, how you doing?
I got to go to work, brother. Have a good night. Thank you for popping in and showing some love. Big Herm, I love you to death, man.
Even with the lack of a mainstay artist, it appears as if Fernando Pessoa is becoming that mainstay artist.
Oh, he's capable of it. He did Hawkman with Robert Venditti.
Yeah.
And he was supposed to be a fill-in artist, but then that book continued for like another 8 issues. You know, Fernando Pessoa is such a good artist. People sleep on his work a lot, and I'm impressed with him.
But Matt Ryan and Brent Peoples, you know, they help matters too. It appears as if
that was my issue with it, because you had like 3 different colorists on it, and to me, like, I was like, that's just jarring when you have 3 different colorists.
But it works for this story though, especially with the Gemworld bit. Especially with the Gemworld bit, having a different colorist works for this. Now, please don't continue that after this. But yeah, Wally's fighting them off. He appears to be holding his own, even against the likes of John Constantine and Zatanna, and he's taking blows from Etrigan.
Right.
Which, I mean, I don't doubt Wally's strength. I mean, it comes from his speed, but yeah, he ends up kind of teaming up with Opal a little bit, seemingly.
Right.
Cut back to the kids. They're taken into this villain called Calculator, which I've never heard of that character before. He might be new. I don't know.
DC just has the worst names for their villains, and I'm just convinced. I'm so convinced at this point.
Yeah, even Shimmer and Mammoth are kind of dumb, but I can't hate on them because, I mean, it's Wolfman and Perez, man.
Love your work, Mr. Lemire. Yeah.
Thank you.
That means Robbie loves your reviews. That just means Robbie's a fan of you now. What up, Bobby Delegato, hardcore station?
Bobby, what is going on? It's Station TM. What is going on, man? How you doing?
What's going on, my brother?
But yeah, and then Jay ends up coming to rescue him. Jay, I was a big fan of Jay in this issue. I hope his character continues to get fleshed out, and I hope that what happens at the end here ends up working out for the better for him. But we'll get to that.
You know what was that?
Turns out Opal. They go to Wally and Opal go to this castle. Opal double crosses Wally. Turns out he's working with Eclipso too. Meanwhile, Irie is transferring some of the Speed Force to Jay because she has powers and Jay doesn't. And apparently, before when they've tried to transfer the Speed Force, it's almost killed Jay. Meanwhile, again, Wally's taking blows from Etrigan and some of the other members of the Justice League Dark. Irie and Jay escape. Jay almost single-handedly takes down Mammoth and Shimmer and all of them. Crumbles up a chair. Like, I was hyped.
Right.
Oh. But then eventually, you know, something happens to him. The Speed Force is doing a number on him again. He just tells Irie that Wally is in trouble, which he is. I guess Jay can like see through or feel Wally through the Speed Force. I don't know. But whatever's going on with Jay, I hope works out for the better. I honestly hope he gets some kind of strength power. Like, how cool would it be if the Speed Force gave somebody enhanced strength?
Oh, dude, that would be dope. But unfortunately, DC's kind of used the Speed Force as like a gimmick, like a scapegoat. You know, it's like we don't know what the Speed Force is. You don't know what the Speed Force is. It could be freaking anything at this point. It's just a way for us to get out of our continuity.
It's been science.
It's getting ridiculous.
I'm pretty sure it's been a divine entity at some point.
Oh, the only person who knows what the Speed Force is Jeff Johns. Like, I don't think anyone in the DC like editorial office has sat down and said, "What's a Speed Force?" I don't know. What's a Doomsday Clock?
Okay, Jeff Johns writes the Speed Force beautifully. He's the only one where I can actually make some sense of it. But I think Jeremy Adams. What is going on, BJ?
What up, BJ? Station, brother. Thank you so much for joining. I know you're busy.
But at the same time, if you look, at the same time, though, if you look at like other Flash runs, Joshua Williamson didn't even try to explain the Speed Force. So props.
No, because he didn't use it. He didn't use it. He's like, oh yeah. Year one is we're going to go back to the past and fight the Turtle because that's an easy villain for someone to fight in year one. And it was great. I loved it. Howard Porter drew his balls off.
And Grant Morrison knows what the Speed Force is. Fair.
They probably do. But unfortunately, them and DC don't really get along. They're not exactly holding hands like they once were.
No. I think Jeremy Adams could learn what the Speed Force is and honestly add to it.
Does he have the strength yet to make that a prominent part of the DC universe? Right, because he could say something, but a bigger writer could come in and say, "Nah, fuck that." But we got to go with that, you know.
True. But we also don't know the scope of this run yet, or how long it is going to be. We are still essentially re-getting to know Wally because Wally, and I could be wrong. Okay, he explained the Speed Force through the Still Force. Okay, so that was the whole Force Quest thing, which was honestly. I didn't read much of it. I kind of jumped in after, but it was kind of I wasn't digging it as much. Now maybe in the context of the actual run. No, Williamson's run as a whole was great. I'm just talking about that specific like Force Quest part.
If you can give me a character that I don't like and make me like him, I give you a lot of respect. Just Google it.
And I give props to people like Tynan for that, for making me actually give a crap about Harley Quinn.
I can totally imagine Wade having a plan for it, an editorial not doing. It's the essence of motion.
I can see that. I can get behind that.
I could. It's like, I guess it's like who really is the Joker? You know, like how like Jeff Johns and Grant Morrison really make theories. Joker, Like Jeff Johns says, "Oh, there are 3 Jokers throughout history." Grant Morrison says, "No, is playing off the id, ego, and super ego."
Yeah.
Kind of theory. So and I like that theory. So I guess it's like, how do you take your cereal? Cereal before the milk or milk after the cereal? You know?
Nah, hang on. There is
okay. Yeah, you put the cereal in
before milk.
Okay, yeah, cereal before milk. I'm glad
we're. It's hard to really say anything about the run as a whole. I enjoy, this is one of the best episodic runs coming out right now, whereas everything else is very arc focused. Right. Flash is very episodic. And it'll be interesting to see where the actual run goes and the lasting effects that it could have on Wally West as a character, especially where he hasn't really – correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think he's been like this utilized or this relevant since like pre-New 52.
Ask Papa Boom.
Papa Boom. Papa Boom, what do you think?
But anyway, I really want to talk about this book because we've waited a very, very long time. And I really want to talk about it. It's Saga. I'm taking it. It's Saga.
Yeah.
We're talking about Saga 55. You guys obviously know this is a spoiler show, so we are going ahead with that. Nothing's changed. If you wanted to read Saga, you had 3 years to read 1 through 54. I can't help you. But what is really great is Brian K. Vaughan, Fiona Staples. It's really crazy that Fiona Staples is credited first ahead of Brian K. Vaughan. A lot of people miss that factor. However, I think that's really important because it speaks volumes just to how important Fiona is to this book. Right, this is her book just as much as it is Brian K. Vaughan. So don't let that fool you.
Honestly, with the amount of dialogue in it, I would say it's more so her book than Brian K. Vaughan's a lot of times.
Right, she's able to give this a lot of life. Right, she's correct.
Correct, Jet. Thank you,
Papa Boom.
Thank you, Papa Boom.
So we fast forward a few more years, and our family is struggling. They're surviving, but they're struggling. We learn about this new character who I guess they're just in league. With Alana, there's a lot of events in today's world that are popping up in this book. You know, we see Alana trying to strive for equal rights between men and women. She doesn't have her shirt on. She remains in great form. Obviously, if you've read Saga, you know there's a lot of nudity in here. My man, the Will, gets laid. He gets laid like there's no tomorrow. With Gwendolyn.
I never noticed how weird that. I just remembered too. She did that while he was wearing Marco's old getup, kinda, or at least had like Marco's shield.
I did not. I only noticed the skull. So we're still with Hazel. This is a Hazel story, and she's kind of like on the run from the landfall, I guess, because she's not supposed to be seen with horns and wings. That's a sign that we've been dealing with this whole ride. Okay, so that's nothing new. She's kind of like blissfully ignorant, but has enough information to like know where to go, know what not to do. You know, we see her fly. Her wings are growing out a little bit, and then we flip the page and on is like topless. So I mean, that was a nice sight to see. Anna's a very gorgeous person, and she's trying to preach out the whole free the nipple, which I get. And then this guy comes in. He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm her husband," but they're just like business partners, I guess. So we go back to the ship and we flash forward to what the Will is doing in this situation. The Will is bringing Marco's skull back to his ex Gwendolyn, who's she's a contractor, so she hires bounty hunters to go out and do stuff. This is like her return to fame, I guess. And that apparently turns her on to the point where she will screw the Will in front of Lion Cat and the skull, because that is like tears of joy apparently. And they get it on. This is like the most graphic I've seen Saga.
She said, so "Oh my gosh!" I was texting a buddy of mine after I read this. Like, do you find it weird that the murder of her ex-fiance turned her? Like, can we dive into Gwendolyn's psychology here for a few issues?
Right, but let's actually dive into the psychology of we didn't get any answers for Marco. Right, so we are still left exactly what happened within this 3-year gap. You know, we didn't really get any answers to the Will. We really didn't get any answers on like really what really happened to Marco. But Bryce, you brought this up, and I want to talk about it. Brian K. Vaughan is a really thoughtful writer.
Very.
Right? This is not a Marco story, right? It's almost like Robb Stark in Game of Thrones during the Red Wedding. You know, you're just going to kill people off, and you don't care because they're not essential. Yes, we're attached to them, but not everyone's story is meant to be told.
I wouldn't say that Marco's not essential. Marco is very essential. He's just not the main character, and
people that go milk first don't understand the universe. Yes.
I think Brian K. Vaughan all along was using Marco as sort of like a metaphor or an allegory of some kind.
Yeah.
To show that not everybody's story has a satisfying ending. Because that's how life is. Like, of course, obviously, I believe in a higher power that says there's a
gateway,
perfect beginning, middle, and end for everything according to his will. That's my beliefs. However, from an earthly perspective and, life on Earth perspective, every death is untimely. There's always more story to tell. And I think Brian K. Vaughan really had that in mind when making Marco's character, because he said he's had this entire thing mapped out since the beginning.
Right.
And so, I mean, Marco was obviously essential for Hazel, but I think he was also essential for the idea of this being a book about life and about family. And honestly, thinking about that, it made me love the book even more.
Yeah. Marco's story, and I guess, like, this is where Hazel's going to have to grow up earlier, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I've never been in this situation, or I've ever had, like, losing a parent. Sometimes my father wasn't always like around when I was growing up, but like he was still alive, right? So
yeah,
I can't really speak on how that would affect Hazel's ability to grow up. One of my good friends in elementary school, that did happen, and it wasn't that great. Yo, Goonie, I know you wanted to talk about Black Panther. We just covered that a little bit ago, so I mean, you can go back in and replay that.
What's up, Goonie? How you doing?
He died a hero, protecting his family.
Very much so.
Yes, and that is a great point to drive home. And he had a lot of stories to tell, but I think his story ended nicely. We got Fable in here, brother.
He had the killing blow too in issue 54. He had the killing blow, but he chose not to take it.
Right.
which honestly, if he had taken it, that could have made me think less of Marco's character.
Right.
Even though he was only around for the first half of the series, issue 54 and him not taking that, or him not giving that fatal blow, cemented Marco as a top 5, if not top 3 character in this entire series for me.
Right. And as much as I would like answers, Brian K. Vaughan will give them to us over time. Like, I have no doubt that we are not going to get these answers. Like, we are going to get them, there's not like a doubt in my mind, but we're going to get them whenever Brian K. Vaughan decides to give it to us. And if that really triggered you, then he did his job right. Cause you're interested now. You're going to keep reading it, obviously. Right. So you're pissed off, that's a good review. Yes. Marco could have used Cobra Kai.
Oh yeah.
I just rewatched that season with my parents. By the way, you guys, earlier today, myself, Fable, and Missing Link, we did Fable did a little pop-up live, brought me and Stefan, sharing some books, so definitely go check that out. That was before this kind of warming up. What up, Mr. Sexton? Who day?
Good Lord. We were watching that game last night, and I literally looked at him after they won. He was ecstatic. He's a huge Bengals fan. I'm a Packers fan, so I'm still, I went through my 5 stages of grief already.
Oh yeah. How about the Cowboys?
I looked at him and I literally said, "What just happened?" What just happened?
Oh man.
But honestly, with Marco, even if we don't get answers, I'm okay with that, because that again doubles down on this idea of there not always being answers for death.
Yeah.
And do I want answers? Yes. Would part of me honestly enjoy the book more in the long run if we didn't get those answers and it's just, oh, Marco's dead, this is how we're handling it? Yes.
What up, Sal? Good to see you in here, my brother.
What's going on, Sal?
Hope you're doing well, man. I'm a stage 2 as a Niners fan. Oh man. But your team's going to be great for years to come. I'm sorry. You have no sympathy.
That is fair.
Trey Lance is going to be
my team probably just lost their 2 best players.
Oh, yeah.
So.
But I'm a Steelers fan, so maybe we might get one of yours, even though that might not be the case. Probably not, because that's not the Steelers' way. They'd much rather
definitely not going to be
a 35-year-old quarterback. So
y'all aren't getting Rodgers.
No, we're not. They're like, oh, let's get Deshaun Watson. First, you Ben Roethlisberger. A great look for your franchise. This is final about being Deshaun Watson. No, don't. Najee, why did you say that? Najee, don't say that at all. Yo, chill.
Me too. Me too.
Let's talk about a book that doesn't need a whole lot of answers. That's Amazing Spider-Man number 87 by Jed MacKay and Carlos Gomez. Carlos Gomez is a great artist. He's been really improving his work over the Spider-Man titles that he's been doing. I liked his art in Nick Spencer's run. I kind of enjoyed what he's been doing in the Beyond Corporation. Jed MacKay is probably my favorite writer right now. Currently, I think he's putting out some of the best work in comics. Deaths of Doctor Strange, that we're going to talk about soon, it was my pick of the week if it wasn't for Saga. So, Robbie,
I really
okay, fine, Robbie. Station, get ready for movie night. But you're not reading it, Robbie, so maybe you could get informed.
Robbie also didn't like Death of Doctor Strange either.
But also, I'm not going to talk about this book that much because nothing really happened. This is the cover. Basically, it's just Spider-Man getting back on his feet, and he's getting trained by Black Cat and Captain America and back in combat. So that's really what happened. It's like physical therapy, but how does a superhero go through physical therapy? This is what Jed MacKay has to say. He's wearing a trash bag and a shirt that says, "I'm not Daredevil." Other than that, not much happened. Just a lot of quippy moments, and we just see Ben Reilly, and he's getting taken care of, and then Janine goes and finds MJ because they have to go over the disc that Ben got from Doc Ock that's revealing Beyond's big bad secrets. That's all the ASM that I want to talk about today, simply because it was fine.
Yeah, the more eventful thing happened in the Black Cat Mary Jane issue, especially with Peter's dream at the end.
Oh yeah.
He said, "Oh, it's this dream again."
Yeah.
I didn't read that, but I was blessed that somebody like put it online, and I was like, oh my gosh, like this is phenomenal.
That was awesome. Yeah, I want to email Jed back and be like, dude, you're just the best.
It's like you're legendary, man.
Right. I mean, when he came on, I was expecting someone a little bit more energetic. He's like, it's cool, I guess. Cool. Like, I'm like, you're probably like the funniest person when when you're hanging out with someone. But on here, he's like a living robot.
Oh,
like, come on, Jed. But what else you got for us this week, Bryce?
What else? What do I want to talk about? Let's just go and talk about it. Devil's Reign number 3.
Yeah, I figured you would take that one.
Oh, I had to, man. I honestly really enjoyed this issue. It was a very dialogue heavy issue.
Right.
Very much like
it was a Luke Cage issue.
It was a Luke Cage issue. I would also say that it was an Otto Octavius issue.
Oh yeah.
Like Otto played a huge part in this. And so did Matt, but it's his book, so
right.
It starts out Ben Reilly. This must be where he's at during the whole ASM issue. He got beat to a pulp and is now being interrogated. But then, the remaining half of the Fantastic Four, the Human Torch and the Thing, who it is referenced that he can't turn off his flames, so props to Marvel for keeping with their continuity.
Right. Oh yeah, that's what I loved about this issue the most. Is it really spoke to everything in the Marvel universe.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, this
everything's talking to each other.
At least the New York centric books.
Well, Marvel as a whole, across their titles, like the past 2 weeks, like they've really impressed me with that. And going forward, I think we're going to start seeing a lot more of that, which is kind of what we've been saying. It's just everyone's like, "Oh, Marvel sucks." Marvel, no, they're getting better.
They're getting there, especially with talent like Jed MacKay and Chip Zdarsky. Of course, Donny Cates, who we're going to be talking about here in a little bit.
Especially this guy, Papa Boom, says he doesn't.
Papa Boom. Oh yes, no, he left.
Nah, Papa Boom's still lurking.
But yeah, they break Ben Reilly out of prison. Luke Cage is given his initial campaign for mayor, which I thought was a great move established in the last issue. They keep going with that. Foggy is endorsing him, which I love. Love the amount of exposure Foggy's getting in this issue and how integral he's going to be to the plot. But nonetheless, Nelson and I guess McDuffie at this point, love their dynamic, love the whole visit with Sue. Fisk goes and visits the Purple Man. He gets filled in on everything about how his kids are the reason Fisk can't remember who Matt is. Meanwhile, Otto is over there assembling.
Oh, they're like versions of himself
into the Ottoverse.
Right.
And you've got characters like Hulk, Wolverine, and Ghost Rider that have their own superior versions, which I thought was super dope.
Right.
Meanwhile, the Avengers are kind of at a bit of discourse with each other over whether or not Fisk actually has a point. Of course, we all know where Matt stands because of his relationship with Fisk. And, of course, we know where Cap stands, too, because of Civil War. He obviously still thinks the same. And while I don't think this is a redux for Civil War, I appreciate the characters still having their same motivations.
Oh, 62. We already talked about SAGA. We finished. You're good.
You're good, man. You're good. And Killmonger, I would say, yeah. Right now, especially with Death of Doctor Strange and Moon Knight.
I would say I would put him up there. Don't sleep on him. Department of Truth.
Moon Knight, in my opinion, is.
Yeah. I think it was. I think it was too. And then Human Torch is. Yeah, he's been pretty OP. In Fantastic Four, he's had a really good character arc. I like it. I'm on board with it.
But no, Moon Knight by Jed MacKay is, I think, Marvel's best book right now. But nonetheless.
I said Death of Doctor Strange was better. But
we finally see Purple Man's kids and how they want to kill their father, but they also kind of just want to get away from everything. I thought that was really interesting. I thought it was, great. The moment that Matt had where he basically, said, look, we're taking Fisk out one way or another. If we have to dump his body on a deserted island, like we're taking this guy out.
Right.
They fight the superior, like the Ottoverse and everything. Turns out the Iron Man that wanted to run for mayor and everything was actually the Chameleon.
So he didn't get a shot. And he's like, oh, butt hurt. And Fisk is like, damn it.
Which makes sense now because Iron Man is apparently like a god in his own title. And it's like, okay, why is he here if he's basically a god? But this explains it.
Yeah,
this explains it. So this is really talking to everything.
Yeah, it is.
We see Otto's being a menace. And then, you know, we cut to Foggy, who again gets beat to a pulp. Everybody is getting beat to a pulp in this issue. For as much talking as there is, everybody's getting beat to a pulp. And now Foggy has become kind of like
a target
and will, I think, end up being some extra motivation for Matt, or at least I hope so, because that is the best friendship in all of comics, in my opinion.
Or maybe it'll push Matt over the edge, and then that'll like lure him to prove who his identity is, and Fisk will figure it out on his own.
Maybe I don't know.
Part of me, Daredevil goes at him like they know each other. They don't know that's Matt Murdock.
But who? Like him and Fisk?
Yeah, because that's why Fisk is doing all this. He wants to figure out who Daredevil is. That's like the whole basis of this. You know.
And we still have 3 issues left, so who knows? And we're getting a relaunch, so that means that something big is going to happen at the end that will at least change Daredevil for the time being.
Right.
Do I personally think they needed a relaunch? No, but again, this is a big event that will in turn, you know, set up and see whether or not that is necessary. So I don't know. As far as runs go, Daredevil has been the best run at Marvel over the past few years, and it continues to just stay consistent. Like that's why I don't call it as exciting of a book anymore, because I'm not surprised with the quality, which is great.
Right. Right. Agreed. I've been loving Devil's Reign. It wasn't my favorite event. It wasn't my favorite issue this week. I think I enjoyed the last one before, but
I really enjoyed issue 2. Yeah.
Yeah, but this one was good. It didn't separate itself from the other great books that we read this week. For example, I just talked about Jed McCain. I'll talk about him again. That is Death of Doctor Strange #5, you guys. This was probably my most anticipated book because I'm a huge Doctor Strange fan. And I think that Jed McKay is a great voice for the character. Where we're at in this story, we also have Lee Garbett on art. By the way,
Lee Garbett, dude,
he did a great job.
And Antonio Fabella on the colors. Yep. The colors really stood out in this.
Right. So what we're doing is Caecilius is the big bad, right? He's the one who killed Doctor Strange, right? But Silver Age Doctor Strange is like, nah, man, I'm gonna get my body back. So that's like kind of his duty. His job is also to round up a lot of the other sorcerers in the world, because the death of the Sorcerer Supreme left Earth vulnerable. And so Wong now is like kind of meditating for answers. And we got Caecilius and Silver Age Doctor Strange. And he's like, you know what, man? I'm like prime Doctor Strange right now. Like, I'm like Anakin right before I went to the dark side. Like, or, you know, I'm going to kick your ass anyway. But he brings back his older self. And Caecilius is like, what the fuck? So, we end up defeating Caecilius, which that's not really a hard thing to do, but was really interesting was Jed McKay's kind of purpose of the older version of Doctor Strange. You know, our Sorcerer Supreme, who is supposed to be back, he ends up saying basically, hey man, you know, as everyone else is putting all like the 3 mothers away, you know, they get defeated by some of our other characters like Captain Marvel, Jean Grey, Rogue. We see the X-Men team in there, they get put away. What was really interesting is after this all takes place, the original Doctor Strange that's supposed to be alive now, who came back, he's like, you know what? I've cheated death before, and I can't do it again. So he just erases himself, you know? And then Clea becomes the Sorcerer Supreme now, with Wong kind of as her guide, right?
Yeah.
So we have Silver Age Doctor Strange, who's he's not really. Was he around? No, he's not really around, right? But Clea and the modern Doctor Strange, and they kind of come to an agreement. Doctor Strange, like, you need to find me the right way, right? I'm not gonna, you know, my time is gone. It is your turn now. So that is leading into Strange #1 coming out in March. And I'm really interested to see how this plays out. And I know we're gonna get Clea in the MCU, but this is just a great story to where Do we need Doctor Strange because he's having a movie coming out? No. But if somebody is there, we've seen we've seen many Sorcerer Supremes, right? We've seen Brother Voodoo, we've seen Loki, even like in the future, we've seen Magic, we've seen Doctor Strange, and now we're gonna see Clea. We've even seen the one before him. But I wouldn't say that is like a common Marvel. I would say that's more of like, maybe some characters can die and, it's not their time to return yet, Like, we don't need Doctor Strange here. We can kill him off and it'll be okay, The way that they did this book wasn't like your typical death of blank character, right? It wasn't like your death of Wolverine, your death of Cyclops, your death of the Inhumans.
Death of Daredevil.
Death of Daredevil, which were all kind of mediocre stories. But I think this really took it in a way that's unique to Doctor Strange's character. It sets up stuff that is going to be coming out later, and it gives this mythos a reason to be on the shelf. A lot of times we have Doctor Strange books, like I love Mark Waid, right? I absolutely adore Mark Waid, but his Doctor Strange run was just not needed. He just didn't have a voice for the character, and the story didn't have any relevance to what was coming out. Yeah. I think now that we have Clea as the Sorcerer Supreme, it kind of brings that relevance to the character, the relevance for this book to be needed. Right. So I wouldn't say that this was your typical death book. It was a great story. Jed MacKay really knows his history while he's writing it. He's always throwing in little tidbits that go back to the Silver Age, but it presents really well to newer readers. It's just an added place in the mythos. But Jed MacKay really has a lot to say about this character.
Yeah, and something I really like too. Oh, good Lord.
Oh.
I
hope Ben Franklin invented electricity by that time, or else she would have been heavily disappointed.
Sparks were flying.
Sparks were flying. Yep.
No, I honestly and I've been saying this since like the beginning of the series. Something I really liked about this was that it kind of had it played back to a similar theme from my favorite Doctor Strange story, which is the Jason Aaron run, and how every time magic is used, there is a price, and you definitely get that in this issue.
Right.
Because Doctor Strange ended up paying that price with his life. And I think it was a perfect setup to give Clea her moment in the spotlight. I thought it was just going to be like I wasn't initially going to read it because I didn't think it was organic. But now it feels organic. And I'm probably going to give the Strange series a shot. I know there are other titles coming out that I want to, a couple others that I want to try out a little bit more, but the Strange series is definitely going to get a first issue buy from me.
Right. Oh, I'm excited.
Yeah, especially with Jed MacKay at the helm.
And who's writing it with? And Marcelo Fiera, who's going to be doing the art, which he's a very talented artist as well. So I'm excited for that. I'm so excited for this to be coming out, you guys.
This could be, Doctor Strange's kind of. I mean, obviously, like I compare everything to like when Jane Foster picked up Mjolnir. Like this is kind of Clea's moment like that. Yeah. Or like Elektra's moment as Daredevil. Like we're seeing these other characters that are integral to the mythos of these main heroes taking up the mantles and really getting fleshed out on their own. Correct. And Marvel's done a great job at that over the past couple of years, especially with like Elektra, who's become probably my favorite female character in Marvel now, other than maybe Rogue. And
it's just like the time with
him and McPherson.
Yo, McPherson, man, that guy's so clutch.
But yeah, especially with a quality writer like Jed MacKay, we could see Clea get that Elektra treatment, and I'm ecstatic for it. Like I can't wait.
Right. Don't sleep on Jed MacKay, y'all. He's putting in a lot of great work. Like, he's getting his name known. He's getting his fan base. And he's going to have a big title soon, other than Clea. And he's just going to completely blow everyone's minds. So we're kind of calling it right now. Jed MacKay is a very important person. And you guys got to pay close attention to him. Definitely.
He's become one of those creators working now that, like, when I go to a con, if he's there, he's going to be one of the first creators I go to.
Right.
Oh, like he's gonna be a must meet.
Yeah. Legatron McPherson.
Legatron. Oh my gosh.
You crazy, man.
Published by IDW.
How many books do you have left, Bryce?
How many books do I have left? I have 4.
Okay, I got quite the stack. Let's talk about Wonder Girl for a second. by Joel Jones, artist Del Duca. We were not as familiar with as much as I'm more familiar with Joel Jones. This is the last issue because this book got canceled, which I want to talk about why this book got canceled. So,
because Joel Jones quit drawing, I can tell you that right now.
So we were talking about this on Comic Talk Live on Friday with me, Fire Guy Ryan, and Bearded Comic Girl. I was a guest there on that show. You guys can catch that show over there on Fire Guy Ryan's channel. You guys all know Comic Tom, right? You guys know Fire Guy Ryan too.
Fire Guy Ryan's dope. He's a G.
I love Ryan to death. He's awesome. But what was really cool about this issue is we're getting to know Yara Flor more. This is more of a personal issue, more of kind of like a farewell, I would say. Joel Jones. Now, a lot of Brazilian people were complaining that this doesn't really do anything for the culture, that Joel Jones didn't really do as much research for their culture and was a little ignorant. But I could see, I also know that Joel Jones was not meeting her deadlines for this book, which is why they had Adriana Mello, and it's a little upsetting, it's a little sad because the Yara Flor that we saw in Future State is not the same Yara Flor that is transferred into the pages of Infinite Frontier. And you're going to see this character more, but I think that Joel Jones had a vision with this character, and I don't think that she's going to get to see that character's vision like full out. Like Yara's going to get a new creator. She's going to get a new writer, and that writer is going to completely reinvigorate her character to make her more relevant. You know, it's almost going to be like changing Batgirl, right? Serious question. What books do you stop reading if an artist stopped drawing?
X-Men.
Artist subjective, so it depends on the title for me. It really does. But I don't really have too much to say in this issue because it's over, and we're setting up Trial of the Amazons, which is an event that I'm going to support so we can see other events like that coming out in the future. However, I'm not sold because I think editorially there's a lot of stuff going on. Even with I think Wonder Woman 2, because I just don't think that everything is adding up the way that it seems. You know, books are becoming less consistent in the Wonder Woman line, and they're becoming less advertised. They're becoming like, this is an event that no one's going to know about because it's not advertised. Only in the pages of Wonder Woman. So if you're reading Wonder Woman, you're going to know about it. But if you're reading Superman and not Wonder Woman, you're not going to know shit, right? So there's that. I still like Yara Flor. I think she's a dope character. I think she brought a new life to the Wonder Woman franchise, but that life has been lost. And I think it'll get reborn. However, not anytime soon. Or DC can just say we're done with this character, but I don't think that's the case because they wouldn't do that with a minority character, especially when that's what they want. People want in their comic books. So,
especially not with a new one either. Like she's still too new to say we're done with this character entirely.
Right.
Like she's not even a year old.
Not a whole lot happened in the book, but that's it. And a lot of the pages from issue 8 are going to be on the Trial of the Amazons book. So I guess you have that to look forward to. However, I'm excited for it because we've never seen it before. I'm not exactly excited for it because the story's there. Because I'm losing it, and I was a huge champion of it. So I was kind of let down, and that happens in comic books. You can't love everything.
Yeah, Wonder Woman. The main Wonder Woman title kind of started losing me a little bit. Yeah, I think, especially the past few issues, you kind of see Becky Cloonan and Michael Conrad putting a lot of energy into their Batgirls title, which I haven't read yet, but I've heard is really good and it looks amazing.
Really good.
And so, obviously, when you're putting energy in one direction, that's less time and energy you're devoting in another direction. And obviously, when you're launching a title, you want to launch it with a bang. So that's not to say that Wonder Woman won't potentially get back to the status that it was at the beginning of the run, but it's kind of hit a lull recently. And when you're leading up to Trial of the Amazons, it's not really something you'd want to do, in my opinion.
Right.
But
Shane says, I stopped buying my comics because of a creator I like, a book or creator. There's a lot of typos there. But I see what you're saying overall. You're more attached to the characters than you are to the creators.
No, yeah.
I'm kind of more well-rounded as I guess like I read so much, like I kind of just see creators swap, and it's like I don't have to worry about now picking up that title because I've already been reading it. So it's just like it's okay. They're just swapping at this point, like Hulk and Thor or Catwoman. It's like I didn't have to, or like Teenie Howard. It's like I already know Teenie Howard. I'm already reading Catwoman. It's not a big deal to me that she's gonna be writing Catwoman. So that's kind of like how I see things. But I know not everyone buys as much weekly titles, but that's what this show is for, is so we can talk about them and help people form their own judgments and what books they want to pick up, what books they don't want to pick up, right? And if you want to just know what's going on, this is a great show because we talk about everything.
Yeah,
the good, the bad, and the ugly.
I'll stop buying certain books because because a run ends or something, but I'll at least try to give the new run a shot. Now, there are certain titles that no matter the quality, I will always buy, just if nothing else, to keep the run going. Like Daredevil, Flash, Nightwing at this point has become that.
Right.
But
you want to talk about Robin?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm going to talk about Robin. Good Lord.
Talk about Robin. That way I can talk about Deathstroke.
This book is phenomenal. Joshua Williamson. Who's the artist on here? Roger Cruz again. Luis Guerrero on the colors. And this is a parent flashback issue. Learning more about huh?
Oh, I said me too to John Stout. He's really excited about Williamson Batman, and it's solid. It's solid. Better than Deathstroke.
Anything Williamson does, except Deathstroke, because I don't like seeing Deathstroke as a hero. But that's just me.
No, he's actually no, he's not here anymore. He's a dick now. I just can't get past the art, and we're going to talk about that.
Isn't that Howard Border?
No.
Okay. But yeah, like we see this Mother Soul character who's actually the mother of Ra's al Ghul. We get kind of her backstory and her relationship with the whole demon and everything like that, and where that whole thing came from, and how Ra's doesn't buy into the same ideology.
Right.
And so how that kind of became a strain in their relationship. Talks about, the forming of the League of Assassins, the League of Shadows, the League of Lazarus. Meanwhile, all this is actually taking place in a collective consciousness between Damian and Mother Soul. But basically, we get the origin of the name Demon's Head and how that was in spite of his mother's ideology. Kind of him setting himself above her faith of sorts.
Right. And
so we're really getting a lot of Al Ghul backstory. We're learning more about Damian's family history, which this is titled, The Demon's Family Tree. And it just really shows how Damian really comes from two totally different worlds. Right. And basically, how he stems from war and tragedy on both sides, because Ra's and his mother ended up going to war at one point over, her causing the League of Lazarus to defect from Ra's and them being corrupted, according to him, with this ideology.
Right.
And then Damian ends up taking down Mother Soul in her own head. So they wake up, and then Ra's basically comes to finish the job he should have finished a long time ago and comes to kill his mom. So this is really everything with this whole League of Lazarus is really starting to come to a head here.
Right. We got Born Hitman 47. Welcome, brother. I hate time travel unless it's incorporated in a story from the beginning. End of issue 9 had me worried, but I really enjoyed issue 10. Love seeing.
Oh yeah. It wasn't actually time travel too, which I thought was.
I think it means flashbacks.
Yeah. It was flashbacks inside of a collective consciousness. But I mean, if you've ever wanted to learn more about Damian Wayne, this is the run right here. This is the book.
Right. Yeah. Robin was great. Robin continues to be great. We're exploring his past, so. If you're interested in that, you're a big Ra's al Ghul fan, that's for you. It's definitely more of a not really like a Damian Wayne in the way that we know him as of late. Like, keep in mind, he didn't start with Batman, so this is like what he grew up knowing. So like these all like kind of learned behaviors that he's going through, which I think is great that we're touching on that. And that's my favorite Joshua Williamson book on the shelf right now. And I think that this next book that we're going to talk about, Deathstroke number 5 by Joshua Williamson, art by Paolo Pantalina, who I'm not a fan of. This book sucked. This book sucked. I'm terribly let down. I have been let down by this book several times, and it's stupid. First off, I would like to say that Paolo Pantalina needs to go back and learn some anatomy, because this art is, it looks like he grew up drawing, like, copying after Rob Liefeld in the 90s. Like, I guarantee you, when Liefeld's drawing, like, whoa, my voice cracked. When Liefeld is drawing, like, that Captain America thing, I guarantee you Paolo's just sitting there, like, tracing over, like, wow, this is some good stuff, man. No, it's not.
Took Liefeld's X-Force and McFarlane's Spider-Man, like, anatomy-wise, and just put it in the mixing bowl.
Right, like where
I mean that's what it sounds like anyway.
Right here. Like if you look at Black Canary, like that's scoliosis right there. Nobody's like back bends like that with their waistline. Like no one does that. And I've never seen somebody at that age have that thick kneecaps. You know, no one's kneecaps is that
like
kind of
muscle character
not
almost.
Even Aaron Donald. I'm sorry. Like this book was absolutely terrible, and we don't really do much with this story other than we learn about like who the Trust really is, what they're doing with the Legion of Doom, and then Deathstroke kind of cracks and he takes them all out and is like, I'm the king of the villains now. So Deathstroke is like the big bad, and Black Canary is like just sits there in awe, kind of like, what are you doing? It's like she just watches this happen, which I'm like, that's not her character, Josh.
She'd be screaming by now.
Slade Wilson is now the king of the supervillains. And I'm just like, what?
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm out. I'm sorry. I'm out. I love
not even for the Williamson crossover event.
See, but I'll pick that up because it's like gonna tie into everything, and I have to technically. But I'm out. I just don't see Deathstroke being a necessary title. I don't think that I think that once Joshua Williamson's like done moving his continuity, he's gonna leave this book. It's terrible. It is such a
funny.
I have not talked to anyone who's liked this book. Like I have not talked to anyone who's like gone crazy over this book. They're like, oh, it's Joshua Williamson, I like it. What about it? There's nothing good in this book. This book is terrible.
And you can tell it's getting the least amount of attention from Williamson because Batman and Robin are of such high quality.
Yeah. Like, Josh. Come on, man. Deathstroke's not in his prime. He can't really be.
Yeah, you need to cancel this book.
He's dying, right?
You need to cancel this book. You need to cancel Teen Titans Academy and then give us a good Teen Titans book with Deathstroke as the villain for the first arc or two.
Yeah, please. I'd be down.
Also, speaking of Teen Titans, please tell me this is not for that stupid Titans show. Please tell me this is not for that stupid Titans show. They leave Brother Blood alone. He was like one of the best villains from that Wolfman.
Oh, I like this question. If you had one book where you had full creative control, what book am I changing? I'm
canceling Batman for 3 months to see.
I'm changing Spider-Man. I'm sorry. I have to take over Spider-Man. I have to.
Like what if I had a book where I had full creative control? What book am I changing? Well, all of my favorite characters right now are getting such good treatment.
I'm making Peter Parker great again.
So yeah, Spider-Man would be one.
X-Men maybe. Jordan.
Yeah, X-Men.
I would. It's like I wouldn't take over X-Men. I would just take away titles such as like Trial of Magneto. You know, like I would take away those kind of books. But if I could write a book starting out in Marvel, like if I was just starting in Marvel, I would write an Inhuman story.
Honestly, I would probably try to give Captain America a fresh start.
That's a good one.
Just because, like, over the years. Oh my gosh! Yes, I would change your book, removing all the pictures of me that you still haven't paid me royalties for. No, I'm kidding.
Or all the quotes that you used in your childhood that are now coming back to life. Right, so you can make some money. Yeah,
Oh my
you might
gosh.
be onto something, brother.
Now there's a one of the quotes he brings up to me all the time. So there's this basketball player for the University of Kentucky named Oscar Shibway. Used to play for WVU. Now he's at Kentucky. I played against him my freshman year of high school.
No way.
And our second game that year, I knew we were going to get beat. And so I just kind of like I walked into the school and I just said, "Bring me Oscar." Mind you, at the time I was barely pushing 6 feet. I was probably 120 pounds.
6 feet.
Meanwhile, Oscar
What did you eat?
6'8", he's LeBron James's size essentially. And what did I eat? Not enough apparently because I was a multi-sport athlete and I just ate a normal amount. So
yeah. Between Thor and Batman Beyond, The White Knight is my top interest right now. Of course, we have Demons by Snyder, and Capullo is amazing. There's a lot of cool books, but the story matters first. I agree 100%. Dude, I'm excited for the Batman Beyond, and Thor's been great. We're going to dive into that in a minute, too. We got my man Zen Multiverse.
What's going on, Zen?
He was in
it's a great book in your profile picture. Way of X.
What was it?
Fantastic
Way of X. That's awesome because Cy Spurrier is going to be on the channel February 16th. And Roy Thomas will be on February 13th. For all you guys wondering about Creators Corner.
There you go.
Right.
Yes. Hashtag make Peter Parker great again. Hashtag make Steve Rogers great again.
Hashtag we care more about Peter Parker.
I love Steve Rogers. Okay, I love Peter Parker too. Peter Parker's my childhood, but Steve Rogers has a special place in my heart.
Yeah, man.
Give us a good time. I'm gonna try his and Sam's new titles coming up.
You want to take? So what do you have left? Do you have Action and Thor?
I have X-Men, Action, and Thor.
X-Men. Okay, I have X-Men and Deaths of Wolverine. So, which one do you want? Thor or Action first?
I want to talk about Action Comics. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah.
First of all,
maybe we'll see Philip back on the show.
Maybe. Artistic pick of the week right here. Ricardo.
And you need to read The Last God. You need to read The Last God.
It is over. It is over on my shelf. And as soon as I finish the Thor by Jason Aaron Complete Collection Volume 2, Why the Last Man Volume 2, and probably Thanos Wins, I will read The Last God.
Oh, I can't wait for Demons, for all of Snyder's books to be collected with Dark Horse. I can't wait for that. That's going to be awesome. But I'm not paying for Comixology. They're stupid.
Action Comics.
Hashtag Havoc is much better than both of them.
What I will stand by you saying that about Cyclops, but
yes,
Havoc is not better than Steve Rogers.
Maybe not, but Havoc is better than Cyclops.
Stephen Grant Rogers.
Havoc is much better than Scott Summers. And by the way, you guys,
that's
going down at Team Nerd Herd tomorrow night. It's going to be me versus Wong. We're going to be arguing Havoc or Cyclops. It's going to be fantastic. But what up with Action Comics, brother? What's going on?
This just became DC's most epic title.
Oh, yeah. It's awesome.
It was great before. Riccardo Federici is vital to this story.
Yes.
And I really think that if he stays on this book for the remainder of the story, this could go into the ranks of the all-time great Superman stories.
Oh my gosh, you're right. This is so bombastic. Federici's art painting this world is it's so great. Imagine if a lot of these cover artists could come back to comic books.
This this feels like a modern this feels like Gladiator, but with Superman.
Oh my gosh, this is such a good book, man.
And Superman's depowered in this too. Yes. And he actually, Riccardo Federici drew him he almost looks like Russell Crowe.
Yes.
Is this actually Gladiator? But no, again, Superman's depowered. They've essentially made him a gladiator.
Havoc.
And he is still on his quest to free the slaves on Warworld. Meanwhile, members of the Authority are finding work in Warworld. They're essentially becoming double agents. And then Superman starts interacting with this Phalosian, who is the race that he initially went to Warworld to liberate. Right. And he basically says, look, this is red solar energy. You're depowered. If you keep taking hits like you're taking, you are going to die. And your entire trip here will be worthless. And your family will be without their patron. And so he kind of like, we see Clark kind of struggle with that for a little bit. But then, you know,
I think he's prepared to. I think he's preparing himself.
He's prepared, but he's still kind of like grasping it.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of putting it. Because like, he wasn't phased. He just took time to think about it.
Yeah. And, you know, we see this really heartfelt moment with the death of this creature, and seemingly their race is now extinct. And we just get this heartfelt moment of Clark kind of having an inner monologue, like, I am so sorry that I was not here to help you.
Right.
Which, in my opinion, is the most Superman thing I've ever seen, because we have heroes that just focus on who they do save. And Superman focuses a lot on that too, but he will take time to just give his condolences and be like, I'm sorry I wasn't here sooner, but I will do my best to not have you die in vain.
Right.
It honestly kind of made me almost tear up a little bit. Like, I think it's safe to say this is my pick of the week.
I think Philip Kennedy Johnson is such an emotional writer. Like, he's great at invoking that type of reaction out of you. You know, while he's building this road, you just get sucked in. It's like you're watching a TV show, right? And you're just getting hooked off the pilot episode. Oh, guys, we have been preaching this book for months and months and months. You've seen Philip on this show. Several times.
It's this and this and Saga. But honestly, this hit me more emotionally than Saga. I'm about to message Philip after this too and be like, hey, just read Action Comics. Like, thank you for giving me like the most emotionally driven book of the week.
Right?
Like, we see him kind of understand what's going on Warworld, how they're kind of indoctrinating their like everybody there, Station, Robin Comics.
My brother.
Just gushing about Action Comics here. And then he comes to terms and basically says, look, he goes to that guy and says, teach me to fight like a Warworlder. Teach me the ways of this world so that I can survive and thrive. But then later we cut to Midnighter, who we haven't seen in a couple of issues.
Yes. Yeah, Midnighter's like changed up, and he's like, this guy's ready to go.
Yeah, it turns out Apollo is kind of becoming like sort of a source of energy for them, it looks like. And Midnighter is there to free Apollo, and oh my gosh, like, people are talking about Nightwing being the best book at DC, and I still think it kind of holds that title. But keep an eye on Action Comics. If more people want to check out Action Comics after this, just go buy this issue, DM me or Brandon, and we will catch you up so that you can read this.
Right.
We will catch, like,
we can't.
That's how badly we want you to read this book.
Now, this is the best Superman book on the shelves. Sorry, Tom. This is the best Superman book on shelves. Enough said. No questions asked. This is the best Superman we've had in years, and that's putting it against Tomasi's run, which I love, I adore. This is much better. This is my favorite Superman run. I love it.
Philip Kennedy Johnson, in my opinion, other than Brian K. Vaughan, of course, but he's been doing this. He's been doing it for a while. Philip Kennedy Johnson, in my opinion, is the best fantasy writer in comics.
Read The Last God, bro.
I'm going to. I just told you when I'm going to.
I don't care. Read it now.
You want me to put that over Jason Aaron's Thor?
Yes. I want you to put over Jason Aaron's Thor. What do you think? I'm crazy? Jason Aaron can wait.
Okay. Well, I'm already in the middle of the book, so I will finish it soon, and then go to The Last God. Why the Last Man can wait, but
yes, he can. Brian can
especially with Ricardo Federici.
Bryce, I'll reread it with you.
This gave me a vibe, again, like Gladiator, with like a Lord of the Rings style, like art style. Like, honestly, I loved Saga. It was great to see it back after 3 years. It's great to be back in the world. But Action Comics, oh my gosh.
Action Comics was fantastic, man.
Oh my
Action
god.
Comics was so good. Let's talk about a book that was also really good, and that is the 10 Deaths of Wolverine. This is by Ben Percy. Art is yeah, see, Michael agrees with me. I actually remember talking with Michael about this a while back. Yeah, I love Michael. Michael's awesome.
Yeah, there's a YouTube channel I watch called Thinking
Comics
Critical.
King. Oh, Comics King.
It's called Thinking Critical, and the dude Wes, I don't always agree with him. He is very harsh on modern comics.
A lot of people,
and even he loves The Last God and Philip Kennedy Johnson, and so that if you know he made a specific video like when it was first coming out talking about why everybody should be reading it, and so that alone got me hyped because I'm like, this dude doesn't say that hardly about anything coming out from Marvel and DC.
Right. So 10 Deaths of Wolverine, Ben Percy and Federico Vincentini, who we know from ASM. Alex Sinclair was colored his pencil, so I liked it for that. Myra's on the run. So as we left off in Inferno, Myra is banished. She has Warlock's arm, as her new arm, because it got taken off by Mystique and Destiny. Well, she's now painting this world, and it's getting taken from her because she's now a human. And Destiny and Mystique can't kill her on Krakoa because kill no man. However, Mystique now is breaking that law. She's like, no, screw you, girl. And she's going after Moira for what she did to Destiny and Mystique, to their relationship. See, even Eric says to read Last God, and Eric knows what he's talking about. Eric the Stash.
I will. It is literally over on my bookshelf.
So
signed and personalized by the man himself. You were there.
Yes, I was there. So Moira, she runs out to her hometown in Scotland, and then she ends up going to New York, where she's with Dr. Jane Foster because she has cancer. Now, a lot of people have been asking me, is this a new concept that she has cancer, or do we already know about it? I think we had a tease about it. I really want to say there was a tease. I really want to go back and check out those ending issues of Hickman's
Did you say Moira had cancer, or did I hear Jane Foster?
Moira.
Okay, I thought I heard Jane Foster in there.
Well, Jane Foster used to have cancer. You're gonna figure that out in Thor. You're gonna figure that out in Jason Aaron's Thor after you read The Last God. So
well, I already have. That was in the first volume. That was during the God Butcher stuff.
Okay, so Black Tom Cassidy kind of senses something going on, so he goes in, figures out what that is. Now we haven't seen Black Tom in a while, so I thought it was really cool for him to pop up. I'm like, that's where he's been. So he sees this egg, this dark egg that's coming out. So we're gonna be dealing with that. And Moira is kind of coming to terms with her cancer, and kind of once she dies, it's it, right? She can't die. She wants Krakoan medicine, but she can't get it now because she's human. And then Mystique shows up, and her and Mystique are battling, and then we see Jane Foster come out to cut as Valkyrie because she is Valkyrie. Everybody, that's not a new concept. That came out of War of the Realms years ago. So I'm glad that we have that concept now. I have to say this about Ben Percy's book because once we see Black Tom kind of go in and investigate, right, it almost looks like he's going into the vault and was something that's coming out, right? We see that kind of that skin, that Wolverine thing, and we see that it is a Wolverine kind of, it has the binary coding of Warlock. Yeah, if you look at this, it's it looks like that's Warlock in there, but it also looks like
you're talking about Moira's arm, yeah,
right? But it's Wolverine, so we know that that's Wolverine. So it's some form of Wolverine. It could be from the vault, or it could be from the same race as Warlock's people. It's coming back to save Moira, or because they need Moira for something, right? Moira can't die. So that's my theory. This is Moira's arm. That's Moira's arm right there.
Oh shoot! Yeah.
And then at the end of the book, again, we do spoilers here. We are just that kind of people who are going to spoil it for you guys who don't read it, because we had a week to read it. This is Wolverine.
This is the end.
This is Wolverine's.
Oh, that looks sick.
Claw. So we're dealing with that, and while Wolverine is unconscious, we see this creature come out, and Jean's like, "Yo, what the heck?" And then it says, "I'm no one. I was never here." So it's can Wolverine not get caught? Can this form of Wolverine not get caught? That is kind of the whole mystery. Yeah, she did get that arm from Doug, from Cypher in Krakoa from the last issue of Inferno. So this is Inferno Sequel. This is some pretty good stuff, you guys. Now, I have to say, Ben Percy is not that creative. He's not that witty to make this smooth of a book. This book is saying, hey guys, Hickman hasn't left. Hickman's just an editor at this point. His vision is still there. His style of writing is still there. It is just Ben Percy has more to say with Black Tom, more to say with Wolverine than he does with Charles, Jean, and the overall story of Krakoa. But
those are gritty characters, and Ben Percy's not a gritty writer.
Don't make this a mistake. Ben Percy is not that smart of a writer. He's a great writer. He's just not as witty as Jonathan Hickman. So for him to make this book, please, Hickman's still here, people. This is a Hickman book. This is a Hickman book. What's going on, brother Nick Station? You were here earlier.
Nick Station.
But
Thanks
for
watching.
Nick really enjoyed this book too, and Nick doesn't usually enjoy X-Men books. So, guys, if you want to know more about Inferno, this is the book to grab. You know, and I didn't see that coming. I definitely didn't see it coming from Ben Percy, which is why it's a Hickman book. This is Hickman. It's just he's giving it to Ben Percy, saying, you know, do it, and I'll like supervise. Right.
See, I skipped out on this book too, just because I don't care about solo Wolverine. But it sounds like they're doing some really interesting stuff in it.
Oh, it's not a solo Wolverine book at all. It's not. I liked it.
Fair enough.
It's Thor time. But if anyone else has any theories, feel free. Type them.
Now, that's probably something I will. It'll probably be like a Ten of Swords type thing where I'm like, I'll get to it eventually.
But this is like pretty important stuff, man.
Fair enough. I don't know. I can't fit a weekly series into the budget right now. So I'll hear about it from you, and then I'll hear about it from like Robbie and review places like that.
Right. It is a Myra focus book. And I know I was talking with Sal about this the other day. So we were kind of talking in the back chat. But what did you think of Thor?
Oh, what did I think of Thor? While I didn't love it as much as Action Comics, I thought it was, a really epic issue. I've started to notice a pattern with this Donny Cates run. It means like if Nick Klein is the artist, you're getting a big bombastic story. You had that with the first 6 issues. You had it with the Prey arc, and now you have it again with this God of Hammers arc.
Right.
And here we kind of get the origin and basically like the reasoning behind it all. It's this whole thing with like the more darkness you put into the sun will eventually become black. So like as noble as Mjolnir and Thor's causes to use Mjolnir may have been, he's still putting violence and ill will into Mjolnir.
Right.
So now where Mjolnir has essentially been corrupted and is out for vengeance. And so yeah, Mjolnir is this entity now, the god of hammers, and she is just basically giving Thor the works. It's a fight issue, basically. Right. It's a fight and exposition issue, which you do need. Thor crafts this dope sword out of lightning, which I thought was sick.
Are we gonna imagine if DWJ drew this issue?
Oh, dude. Honestly, I don't think Nick Klein's very far off, though.
Oh, no, but I'm just talking about the last scene.
Some of these pages.
That last scene.
Dude, with Thor's arm, yeah, I was just about to get to that. So they're fighting. Thor goes to punch the God of Hammers, who then raises up the hammer. And we get some, like, near invincible level gore here with the arm breaking and the bones sticking out. Like, this is probably some of the goriest depictions I've seen from Marvel in a while. Now, of course, for indie books, it's nothing new, but for Marvel, like this is pushing some boundaries.
Right. I was talking about we see.
I thought that was really dope.
Get smacked.
Yeah, Thor. Like I said, Thor just continues to get worked.
Right.
Until Odin eventually jumps in and saves him. That to me is the biggest mystery of this entire run: is what is Odin's deal?
Right.
And, I think Cates is doing that on purpose.
Right. Because Odin's been such a question mark in Thor's mythos these past few years.
Yeah.
But, dude, this book was so crazy.
But then, Sif basically sends the God of Hammers to the end of time. All like Loki, all like TVA style.
Oh.
And so, like, what's going to happen now? And then Odin gets marked. Odin gets hit by the hammer, and the god of hammers basically comes back
as Mangog.
Which I don't know much about Mangog. I'm assuming that is I'm assuming it's been around for a while. It sounds like a Walter Simonson thing, to be honest.
I'm not as knowledgeable of Mangog, but if somebody else is in the chat, feel free to put that in there.
Yes, I'm still very much learning about Thor.
Chet, Sal, Steph, if you're here, I know you're here, Steph.
Honestly, I think Thor. This run has been the perfect get to know Thor run, and it just continues to be fantastic. While I wasn't as excited about it as I was Action Comics, I still
Kirby character.
It sounds like Kirby too. I was either going to say Kirby or Simonson, but
I am guilty. That's something I haven't as diversified myself in, but getting on it. Gonna get on that. On the flip side, we got X-Men #7 by Jerry Dugan and Pepe Larraz.
And Marty Gracia, one of the best colorists in comics right now.
So a lot of this is reflecting the Orcus guys that want him dead. 154. Mangog is like a force of nature combination of races, anger, and again Odin. Okay.
Basically, what I'm hearing is read Silver Age Thor.
Yeah, basically. So Donnie does that a lot. Okay, so this story is all about Cyclops and kind of how even when the team was banged up from their last mission, Cyclops still kind of goes out to save the day, and he ends up saving the kid from everything that Orcus is bringing down on them, which a bunch of animals, and Kirby stuff, and basically Cyclops jumps in the way of the kid, and it ends up killing him because he gets injured, and that's kind of how he becomes Captain Krakoa, because I guess he's deemed worthy of that, and that is why Ben Urich is on top of his investigation of how he's come back. So I guess now we're kind of seeing is how he died in order for him to get revived and brought back, which we see that in this issue. In the beginning, he gets revived, and he's talking with Emma, who he used to be in a relationship with, which if you guys have read Astonishing X-Men or Grant Morrison's New X-Men, his relationship started with Emma in the pages of New X-Men, and then in Astonishing, we really saw that go full circle and really see it develop in Astonishing. Right. Ben Urich has been a little nosy, and Cyclops is rebirth.
Stop it, Chet. You know how much I love Ben Urich.
So Cyclops ends up sacrificing his life for a little kid, and that essentially leads into him essentially becoming Captain Krakoa. So Pepe Larraz's art is great. Stay tuned for Pepe Larraz coming to the show over the summer. I think we planned for May. So stay tuned for that. And we're getting to see what Orcus is trying to do, and they're pretty pissed off, and they're trying to convince Ben Urich to really investigate this. Ben Urich doesn't really know what to do. He thinks it's a good story that'll benefit him in New York and the world. So it's he just sees dollar signs, and he doesn't really see the negative aspects of what he's doing.
He's a reporter. He's just doing his job.
Yeah, he's just doing his job, death by exile. But this is really the origin of Scott becoming Captain Krakoa. And I have to say, for as much slack as I give Cyclops, he had a great little character arc in here. This title continues to be great. Jerry Dugan has some of the best character moments in here. And our team is a little bit banged up, so obviously they're not able to fight at full force now. And we're still getting to see more X-Men in New York, and kind of them getting back to being more out in public in the U.S. rather than just on Krakoa. And I'm excited for that. I'm really liking this book.
No, I mean I'm enjoying it. I've not been as high on it. My father asked a question earlier. As of right now, as of this issue, probably not. But as of the 6 issues prior, if Pepe Larraz left the book, I probably would have too. But now, I'm at least intrigued. Jerry Dugan has roped me in at least for a few issues. Again, if Pepe Larraz ever left, I don't know what I would do with the title.
Right.
But I'm intrigued. I definitely like this issue.
Me too. I'm with you. It wasn't as strong as Deaths of Wolverine, but that's because that was Hickmanized, and this is more Jerry Dugan doing his own thing. Yeah. But nonetheless, I was really excited. Other books that came out this week was Detective Comics 1050, which was fine. It was a good story. And the Winter Soldier tie-in to Devil's Reign kicked off his new story, which will be taking place in the pages of Captain America coming out in a month or two. So not really going to talk about them. They're both good issues, solid, but not really necessary to go over and talk in depth because we had a huge release week. Next week, we have a lot of great books. Again, if you're catching this on the replay, make sure you guys give it a thumbs up. You're here right now. Hit the thumbs up on your way out. Definitely subscribe to the channel if our content interests you. On Wednesday, we have coming out Crisis on Infinite, Rand's Missing Link, the PCP Army Bad Batch. We're going to be building a MCU amusement park, so that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited for it. And then we're going to be on Team Nerd Herd tomorrow. We're going to be doing our Havoc Cyclops battle and be going against me. I'm going to be Havoc, so I'm going to win. You know, she's the best Summers brother. Be there. Fight night. I'm excited for that. And then Friday, we have House of M. Or I might drop that. Yeah, House of M. We're going to drop on Friday. And then we have a few other reviews in the pipeline for Archives. Then Creators Corner. Kind of announced earlier. We had Cy Spurrier. We got Matt Hawkins from Top Cow. And we have Roy Thomas. And yes, Cy Spurrier. So,
dude, it's dope. I'm hyped for Spurrier, especially after books like Way of X and
right. And he has an independent book coming out February 23rd, so I'm excited for that.
Really, what's it called?
I forget, but Image has put it out there a lot.
Oh, Image is putting it out. Okay. Yeah, I've heard his indie stuff is like, there's a book from Boom that he did, I think, called Coda that I really want to check out.
Right.
But
I
yeah,
know him and Philip worked on a book together. And it is Step by Bloody Step. That's the name of the book.
But, Step by Bloody Step. Okay. Who'd you say he worked on a book with?
Philip, back in the early days with Boom.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah, that is definitely going to be something to check out then.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be checking that out.
I might end up putting Chet Scotland in a timeout here.
Right. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning into the show. We're live every Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you guys so much for all the support you guys have been showing the channel. It's been definitely a great experience so far, and we're looking forward for every week. This show is something that I look forward to. So thank you guys so much. Take care, you guys. Station.
Take care, y'all. Have a good night.